meeting of the minds.
All right. Yeah, you have me, boss.
How's it going?
Good. It's going great. Couldn't be better, man.
Yeah, yeah. So what are you guys doing at this time? How are you guys staying positive at this time? What's going on?
Well, I think you have a lot of things to be grateful for, and obviously we're healthy. I got a healthy family right now, and we're just hunkered down and making sure that we're doing our part to kind of get rid of this virus, and on top of that, making sure our guys are taken care of. So we're staying busy during this, and just kind of making sure that we're staying busy.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, you guys got great things going on over there. Happy to see it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like it starts as an athlete, then moves on to a coach, and it's just bringing that same kind of intensity, the same kind of perspective. And I know you and Bono talk a lot about the importance of, building virtue and building strong men physically, mentally, the total package.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think that's part of being a coach, and being passionate about being a coach is it's a lot more than just the athlete part of things, right? We're building men, we're building future husbands, and and everything that goes with that, right? So it's the total package, not just what you see on the mat, right? We want everything. We want to control the social life, the athletic life, the academic life. So when you walk away from Wisconsin, you're well prepared, right? You're ready to take on any obstacle that's in front of you.
Absolutely. What are some of the philosophies you have to guys that, like, maybe some of the common things that you're drilling into them on a regular basis?
Well, I think that when you talk about our program and you see us, we're talking about it constantly, and it's something that we believe in, and it's just as simple as hustle, effort, and attitude, right? And it's as simple as that. It's as simple as that, and we drive that in on every area of their lives, right? In their academic life, their social life, their athletic life. If you can control your hustle, effort, and attitude, you're going to put yourself in a great position to be the best version of yourself.
That's awesome. So how do you elaborate on each? Because I know we all, like I say a lot of times, effort, attitude, aggressiveness. We're all saying something very similar, right? But it's interesting, like when we say those words, like how do you frame it to the guys? Like how do you break it down, the effort, the attitude, and all that?
I think that when you look at it, and the way kind of we approach our lives is we're very consistent, right? When you talk about our staff, Coach Bono and I, we've been together a long time, so we know each other really well. But just the way we tick, right? You try to do everything right in your life, right? And it's hard at times, but you give your best effort in every area of your life. You're not trying to cut corners. You're not looking to ways to make it easier. Whatever the task that is in front of you, you do it to the best of your ability, right? And you wake up and you have a great attitude, and you're not dreading the day that's in front of you. I go to bed every night. Can't wait to wake up and do it again, right? I get to do something I love, and my family is amazing, and everything that comes with it. But hustle, effort, and attitude, man, we preach it day in, day out, and it's something that we truly believe in, and it's part of our culture. It's part of our program's DNA. It's looking for guys like that across the country that really, truly believe in that. They want to be the best versions of themselves, not only on the mat, but, man, as just men, right? As men, and when they look back on their careers and at Wisconsin, and they had one heck of a student-athlete experience, but we prepared them for life.
Absolutely. I mean, I think about how motivating it must be to be a Wisconsin wrestler with you and Bono, and you talk about hustle. I know that's something you guys embody just as people, as competitors, as coaches. I think back to a lot of like the National Wrestling Coaches Conventions that we spoke at, and Bono's getting a workout in running on the beach at like 6 a.m., something like that.
Right. I speak highly enough about him. He's been my mentor for a long time. He's been someone I've looked to as the standard, right? He's a standard setter, and he's a guy who I draw a lot of motivation from him, and that's why I've been so loyal to the guy. And couldn't speak highly enough about him, right? And he's a guy who, when you want to talk about a leader, man, he's a true leader in every fashion of the way. He's not trying to do just the results on the mat. He wants to build men that are gonna, the relationship side of things are gonna last a lifetime. And like I've said, he's made a lasting impact on my life.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Now, what are some of the things you tell the kids to get them mentally ready in terms of relaxing under pressure, believing in themselves? Like what? I know each kid is different, right? So of course it's understanding each individual athlete, but what do you want them to be thinking before the match and during the match?
I think that, it's sticking to our game plan, right? Our game plans are formulated long in advance when it comes to, individual matchups, but it's sticking to what we're good at. We know our strengths, we know our weaknesses within our individuals, and it's making sure that we stick to what we know what to do, right? And
Yeah.
we're hustling back to the center every time we go out of bounds. It's wrestling through every position. If we get taken down once, who cares? If we get taken down twice, who cares? You keep wrestling the entire match. And you just constantly, your confidence comes from your preparation, right? We tell our guys, your confidence is going to come from your preparation. So what you're doing your daily routine, and I'm a routine guy, right? I'm a kind of guy who preaches that to the full extent, right? You've got to be consistent in every area of your life. You want to be at a very high level. So it's very important that consistency, also is a huge component of that. So the more consistent you are, the more, prepared you're going to be. And then when you get to the moment in a match, you're going to be, you're more relaxed, right? Those doubts are not as much. So obviously our preparation, we believe in the way we train our guys and our system, and making sure that they just understand that, listen, we are going to have you prepared, right? So when you get out on the mat, you focus on how to execute. You worry about your preparation, how to execute, and focus on you, right? You focus on what you can control, and those small things like hustling back to the center, continue to wrestle in your positions are very important.
Absolutely. That's great stuff right there. And I think that a key point that I hope people key in on is that you're saying, like, okay, if we get taken down once, big deal. Twice, so what? Like, of course, we're not trying to get taken down, but the attitude is, it can't be, oh, I'm so afraid of getting scored on that I'm not taking chances, I'm not going for it. Like, it's important to hear high-level people like yourself, like Bono, saying, like, okay, yeah, we're trying to clean up our technique, but if it happens, it happens. So what? So it doesn't throw you off your game plan as soon as something negative happens.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. And it goes back to what I said before, too, that hustle, effort, and attitude, right? We before dual meet, he'll say it over and over again. All I want is your best hustle, effort, and attitude. That's all I want from you, right? I don't care about the wins and losses, but if we're going to have a problem if you don't go out there and wrestle to your full ability. Be fearless, right? Be fearless, because, when you're prepared, you're able to wrestle free.
That's right. That's right. And now talk a little bit about how you manage your energy at a long tournament, whether it's, 2-day tournament, 3-day tournament, NCAAs. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of time where you get pulled in different directions.
No doubt about it. I reflect back on my own career, especially my senior year, when you're in the NCAA tournament, and kind of how you navigate through that NCAA tournament and how you focus. I think it becomes, at that point in time in the season, it's really about you, right? Your job, right? We always preach too, do your 10%. But when you get to that part of the season, it couldn't be more, of an emphasis. You really got to stay inside your bubble. The second that you get off the mat, it's right to your cool down. It's right to your protocol and what's going to make you operate at a high level. But man, focusing on you, not exerting, unnecessary energy. So those were big for me.
Yeah. Talk about, I like what you said there about getting yourself into your bubble. So is that something, like, of course, each guy's is something a little bit different, your protocol, right? Is that something you have them map out ahead of time? Do they write it down on paper? Like, how do they develop that?
Absolutely. I think that, again, it goes back to that consistent, your daily routine, right? And I'm a big believer on the guys at the highest level. They have a game plan and they have a routine, right? It's not coming into a workout and having no idea what we're doing, how I'm going to get better, and going through workouts aimlessly. You've got to have a plan to, listen, I'm going to get better today. That's my attitude walking into this practice. No doubt about it. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be healthy and ready to go. But that daily consistency is very important when you're walking through that. And, the whole thing, man, the whole thing is important.
Yeah. And I like what you said there about, again, being grateful for the opportunity. Like, we take our teams through the first mindset principle. I'm thankful for the opportunity to wrestle. And that's not something I dreamt up. I watched highly successful people like yourself see what you guys are saying in interviews and then just use that, right? Don't reinvent the wheel. But I know you really live like that. And even when we just jumped on the call, you were saying there's a lot of things to be thankful for. There's a lot of opportunities. Like a lot of people don't look at things like that, especially when adversity strikes,
No
right?
doubt.
So how do we train athletes to be more like that too? Because it's not easy.
Well, I think that, when wrestling's all said and done, you look back on your career and you're like, man, it really was the best times of my life when it comes to my athletic career. And, you want to do it all over again,
Right.
Being very grateful as a coach, being able to continue to stay in this realm of wrestling and be able to mentor and mold guys and help them accomplish their goals and be the best versions of themselves are important. But you have so much to be grateful for, man. Going out there and being able to compete at the Division I level, especially where we're at the University of Wisconsin, a Big Ten program,
Yeah.
in front of thousands of fans, man. Well, what else could you ask for, right? And that's something that our guys are very grateful when they walk on the mat for the opportunity to go out and put a show on. And when you wrestle a Wisconsin guy, you're going to get 7 minutes of hard wrestling.
That's it. Because a lot of times you see athletes just trying to get it over with, right? I just want to get my match over with and be done with it. And that's sad. It's going to be hard going up against, like you're saying, it's going to be hard going up against a Badger who's like, I love this. Like, I live for this. Not that wrestling defines them, but they love it.
Yep, absolutely. And I think that you start hitting on a little bit of people, they're so anxious, right? And I look back on my own career, and I was the type of guy I was not afraid to ask for help, right? When I was young, in my first couple of years in college, I understood that I got really anxious before matches, and it wasn't a fear thing, and it wasn't I just got excited. I wanted to get on the mat, put my hands on somebody in the worst way, right? And that was 4 to 6 hours before I even wrestled, right?
Yeah.
That's a big problem.
It's a long time.
It's a long time, and you can only imagine the power meter goes way down.
Right.
I get to, the 7 o'clock dual meet time, I'm way exhausted. So I had to understand that, listen, I needed to find other resources, and I had really good mentors around me. Coach Bono, Cale Sanderson obviously was my coach for the first 3 years. So I had excellent resources, and Cody Sanderson and guys like those guys that really helped me figure out what was the best version of myself. Was it, you were calm but relaxed? I had to find that area where I was ready to go but relaxed at the same time. And I've had a lot of experience with psychologists through my career, all through college, after college, and I believed in it, right? I believed in that side of things, and I believed in the visualization of competing, and I truly believe it was a huge component and a huge tool that when I got to my senior year in college, I really dove deep into visualization of seeing myself win many, many times before I even got to the NCAA tournament. I even visualized even as far as what it looked like when I was going to celebrate when I was done, right? Just the an NCAA title, I felt it way before it ever happened. And making sure that, every day after practice, I was visualizing, a 7-minute match or just going to my go-to offense was very important. So when you talk about guys getting anxious before matches, we have a lot of resources at Wisconsin that kind of the new craze or the new, big thing in college athletics is somebody called a mindfulness coach. So we have access to these guys here at the University of Wisconsin that's their sole job, right? They come and talk to our athletes. Now, it's not mandatory for our guys to talk to them, but they have the resource, right? They have the resource to navigate through that anxiety, because I think that's a real thing. I think there's a lot of, young, and that transition from high school to college is a big jump, right? It's a major jump for a lot of guys. So having hey, listen, I'm not the big dog anymore. I've kind of got to really learn to sharpen my sword and perfect what makes me good to compete at this new level. And there's a lot of anxiety that pops into that. And I'm a living testament of that. I lived it, right? I lived that.
Yeah. So talk about how practically you went about trying to find the way to get you to your sweet spot, your optimal point right before you competed. Was it thinking about like best and worst matches? How did you get there?
I think honestly, from my own kind of experiences, it was kind of keeping my mind off of it, right? Kind of keeping my mind off it until it was go time, right? That was what was best for me. It was, as simple as just laying on my back, putting my feet up on a chair and listening to whatever music I wanted to listen to, and just kind of being relaxed, not really thinking about anything, just kind of free, right, and relax. The body really rest. And because if you let me, man, if you take the leash off, I was pacing for 4 hours, right? I was the second I got off the scale, I wanted that whistle to blow, and I wanted to run. I just wanted to get my hands on somebody. So learning to really bottle up that energy and make it constructive and productive and was huge for my career. And I think my senior year I wrestled so much more relaxed and just so much more confident.
That's awesome. And that's a very big point for people to realize, because a lot of times we think as soon as we wake up on tournament day, we got to be ready to go. That's not the case. It's like you said, the power meter, the analogy I use is the cell phone battery life, right? And stress takes more energy out of you than a 2-hour practice.
Right.
So now you talked about, getting off your feet instead of just pacing around, because that's what I would do too. Just keep pacing around, walk for miles, basically, right? Then what about, you said about the music. Did you ever have to find, like, change the music you were listening to? Like certain music puts you in a certain mood versus other kind of music?
No, it's a funny story too. So, no, I listened to the same thing, man. It was the same CD over and over and over again. And guys made fun of me because I did like it, but it was back, obviously that was 2011. So I think Eminem came out with a CD at the time. And that was my jam, man. I listened to the whole CD over and over and over and over again. And not that I drew power from it or whatever. Yeah. It was just something that it relaxed me, right? It got me confident. Whatever it was. And everybody knows their music. Some guys are country music guys. Some guys they need that, whatever, that screamo stuff or whatever. But you just got to find your kind of groove and whatever music you're into and go with it.
Do you tell the kids to, like, trial and error that in the off season, or do that before practice, or like just to get them thinking about it? So it's not, what I don't want to see with our athletes is all of a sudden the match comes and now they're picking songs for the first time. They don't know how that's going to affect them. There's no consistency there. Like you said, you had the same songs every time. So you knew what emotional level you were going to get to.
Absolutely. I think that it goes back to the same thing I said, the consistent basis is coming into practice with a purpose. My warm-up is very purposeful. I stick to the same routine when I warm up, and we give our guys the freedom. We give them a chunk of time of, you're running around, you're doing your gymnastics, you're doing whatever you got to do to get your body warm. And that's their time to really develop what's their plan. What does it look like for you to be warm and ready to go? When it comes to match day, listen, I'm not always going to be there. I'm not always going to be right where you are, so you can warm up. The level of independence that I think is there's a big component to that too, because at the NCAA tournament, there's going to be coaches are out there coaching your teammates. And you got to figure it out, right? Yeah. So there's got to be a level to that. There might be a time where your CD player, whatever it is, runs out of, right, or whatever. You got to be able to adapt, and so we do let these guys have a lot of independence when it comes to their warm up. But there's got to be a routine, right? It's not just aimlessly. It's got to be purposeful. Because when it comes down to time to compete, you've got to rely back on it. You got to fall back on what you know and what's going to get you to that level. Yeah, absolutely. Got a question here. My brother wrote. He said, "What are some of the habits you want to see in a student athlete?" Oh, I habits of man, I could go on and on and on about this. Every day is. I'm always reminded of guys that are looking to be the best versions of themselves, and there's habits that come along with that. We want good people, right? That's number one. We want good people in this program. We want people that are going to represent this university at a very high level, not just on the mat, but in the community. Because when you put that W on, there's a lot more that goes into it than just putting that singlet on. There's a lot of legends that have come through this program, a lot of very important people that you're representing. And so habits that we want, man, like I said, that hustle effort attitude is very, very important to us in every aspect of your life. And I can dive deep in, go long into detail about that, what it looks like for each prong of those. But man, when you are able to control your hustle effort and attitude, you're going to put yourself in a heck of a position to be the best version of yourself. Absolutely.
Hustle, effort, attitude. No, it's great. I love it. How do you also stay consistent with your mindset, whether it's a national championship, whether it's going up against someone you know you're going to dominate, wrestling against your coach, like when you go up against Kale? It's like, how do you, like, mentally, those are all different parameters, right? There are different areas you're dealing with. How do you keep that consistency straight through and not get caught up in, oh, I'm going against my coach, or I'm in the national finals, or this is some slouch?
Yeah, well, I think it's easier said than done, right? I think it's easy for me to just say, hey, you got to keep that same mentality. But again, you've got to drive that into your attitude. It's something that's got to be reinforced from your coaching staff and your support staff, that, you know, you've got to be consistent in your mentality too, right? Everything that how you approach your life and how your preparation, it goes into that. But it doesn't matter who you wrestle. That hustle, effort, and attitude is always going to be there, right? And looking back on my own career, it didn't matter who I was wrestling. It didn't matter if it was Cale Sanderson. I was going out to fight. I was going to make it a fight, and at the end of the match, the chips were going to fall where they were going to fall. But I knew that no matter what, I wasn't going to get out hustled. I wasn't going to get out effort, whatever. I might have lost from a talent standpoint, but I was always going to give my best effort, right? I was always focusing on giving my best effort.
Yeah. I think when you do that, you're controlling the controllables. I mean, everyone says it, but how many people are actually doing it? Where it's like, yeah, I might get beat. So what? Of course, we're not trying to lose, but this is what I could control. I could out hustle them. I could out effort them. I could out attitude them. That's all I could control. And like you said, let the chips fall where they may.
Yep.
Like, we got to get that to sink in. That's the key. We got to get that to sink into people.
Yep, absolutely. No, and you're 100% right. It's like I said, it's very easy to say that, but it's harder to implement it, right? And then really try to grasp it and make it part of yourself.
Right.
And we've been doing this for a long time, so we're very passionate about that. That's kind of the foundation of our program, and something that we're very, we take a lot of pride in it.
Awesome. Finish up with this. What do you think are some things that athletes could be doing to train to get better during this time, both on the mat, off the mat? What should they be thinking right now?
Right now, it's very easy for guys to get comfortable, right? I think it's very easy for – I just talked to our guys a couple of days ago, and just checking in, obviously, to make sure everything's going all right with them. But this is a time where, listen, you better hope these guys are your opponents are taking days off and whatever. This is our time to take ground, right? This is how we're going to take ground. This is how we're going to get better. How are you attacking each day? Because right now, very easy for your opponents to get comfortable, right? You got to continue to focus on the goal in front of us, and that's, hopefully that we have a season, but we fully anticipate that everything is going to happen the way it should. And you've got to have that mentality every day when you wake up, that I got to figure out a way to get better, right? And we've done a great job as a university being able to send our guys from a nutrition standpoint. They're on point when it comes to their supplements and proteins are getting shipped right to their houses. Our strength and conditioning coach is sending weights and bands and kettlebells right to their doorsteps.
Wow.
They have the resources, and now it's on you, right? It's on you when it's dark and you're training in the dark. What are you going to do right now to make sure that once we get back and we're in the full swing of things, you didn't skip a beat?
Right. That's right. And covering ground. I like how you put it that way, because if we're better than the person, we want to be building that gap. If we're beating them by 5, we want to beat them by 10. If we're losing by 5, how do we close that gap, or how do we jump them? And anytime there's adversity, and this is sports, school, business, and life, there's some people that adversity breaks and other people jump levels. Whenever there's that adversity, there's usually a changing of the guards. So you want to be the right end of that whole series.
No doubt about it.
Awesome, John. Great stuff. I appreciate it. Go ahead.
Yeah.
What's that?
Go ahead. Sorry about that.
Go.
No, I just said, yeah, absolutely. I think at this time, there's no doubt about it that you're going to find guys that are comfortable right now, and they're looking for ways to say, hey, listen, I can sit on the couch all day. It's very easy, right? Coach isn't looking at me right now.
Right.
But like you said, we've got to figure out ways to separate ourselves and then take ground on guys that are in front of us.
Awesome. Jon Reader, Bono, Wisconsin Wrestling, big shout out to you guys. I love it. Hustle, effort, attitude. I hope all the guys watch this. Watch it again. There's so many gold nuggets that you threw out there. We appreciate it, John. Love to do it again. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Take care, brother. We'll see you.